are 6 primary emotions that all humans experience. These 6 emotions are happiness, fear, disgust, sadness, surprise, and anger. Today, we are going to be focusing on anger. Sometimes anger is given a bad reputation, and some people believe that it is a negative emotion and needs to be avoided at all costs. But the truth is, anger is a natural and normal emotion, and everyone experiences anger from time to time. We all feel different emotions because it's what makes us human. Some experts believe that anger is an evolutionary response, which means it's passed down from generation to generation, which helps us stay alive. Did you know that we have many different parts in our brain? When we get angry, the part of the brain that helps us think clearly and logically can start to shut down. When our rational and thinking part of the brain slows down, another part of our brain starts to become more active instead. The amygdala is called our emotional part of the brain. It helps detect fear and prepares us for emergencies. This part of the brain takes care of something called the fight or flight response. Let's just say we're taking a stroll down the forest and all of a sudden a bear pops out in front of us. Our fight or flight response will help us to decide whether we want to fight the bear or whether we want to run away. We might notice during this time that our breathing becomes shallower, our heart rate becomes faster, our pupils dilate, and our digestion slows down. Some of you might be thinking, "Well, Lindsay, that all sounds really great, but how does this all tie into anger?" Well, when we feel threatened or angry, our emotional brain can respond irrationally. This means that we might not make the best choices, and when we look back at a later point, we might regret our actions. When our emotional part of the brain takes over, our logic gets suppressed. We might even lose some IQ points when our emotional part of the brain is too strong. But don't worry, the good news is that the IQ points we lose is only temporary, and we get those IQ points back when our emotional part of the brain calms down. Finding a way to label and realize what feelings we have will help reduce the intensity and return some of those activities back to our thinking part of the brain. Warning signs are the things we feel, think, say, and do when we are getting angry. If you recognize your own personal warning signs, you can notice when you are starting to get angry. Warning signs fall into 4 categories: physical, emotional, mental, and behavior. Some physical signs we might notice in our bodies include an increased heart rate, shallow breathing, feeling hot or sweating, an upset stomach, tense muscles, or shaking. Some additional emotions we might have when angry could be feelings of guilt, insecurity, feeling disrespected, jealous, or afraid. Some thoughts going through our heads when we're angry could be that someone is being rude to us on purpose, thinking that something bad is going to happen, or maybe we are thinking about seeking revenge on someone who made us angry. Some behaviors we might do when angry could be yelling, swearing, clenching our fists, or banging on things. The behaviors we do whenever we are mad are the result of what we feel in our body, our feelings, and our thoughts. So, if our body is sweating, or we have tense muscles, or we have weakness in our legs, and we get thoughts in our head that something isn't fair, we might end up showing behaviors like yelling or shouting to others. You might notice that a behavior we might do when we are angry is to try an anger coping strategy, which is something we will talk about shortly. What are some things that you know make you angry? What are some warning signs that you notice when you are becoming angry? Do you notice that you might have different levels of angry? Anger comes in different intensities and in different levels. There might have been a time where we have felt a little bit annoyed or upset about something. There might also have been a time where we felt infuriated or very angry. Anger is on a continuum, which means that it takes many forms that can range from being minorly annoyed to absolutely enraged or furious. The anger ladder pictured here is a great tool that we can use to help us understand the different levels of anger. On the bottom of the ladder, you will see the light blue bubble picture, which means the calm stage. When we are at the bottom of the anger ladder, we are not showing any signs of anger. Our frontal lobe, which is also called the thinking part of our brain, is fully working to help us make logical choices. The next step on the anger ladder you'll see is the annoyed stage. Like the name says, in the annoyed stage, we are starting to feel irritated. We might start to show physical symptoms of anger, like our heart rate is starting to get faster, or we might start to have shallow breathing. As we climb or go up on the anger ladder, this means our feelings of anger are increasing. The higher we are on the anger ladder, the harder we might find it to think clearly. Remember what I said earlier, that it is our emotional part of the brain is taking over when we get more angry. When we are at the top of the anger ladder, we might feel furious. At this point, our emotional part of the brain has taken over. Take a minute to think what you might be thinking, feeling, or doing on each stage of the anger ladder. Here is one exercise you can try to help climb down the anger ladder. This exercise is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First, we want to find 5 things we can see in the room. Next, we want to find 4 things we can touch. Then 3 things we can hear. Next, we want to find 2 things we can smell. And lastly, we want to find 1 thing that we could taste. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise can be used to help our brains focus on the present moment, and it can help stop our brains from wandering all over this place. Give this exercise a try and examine how you feel after. Some people find breathing exercises a great way to help them climb down the anger ladder. Here is one of my favorite breathing exercises, which is called Lazy 8 breathing. To do Lazy 8 breathing, put a finger on the star. While taking a deep breath in, trace your finger around the part that says breathe in. Once your finger returns to the star, breathe out while tracing your finger along the part that says breathe out. Take your time while doing this exercise in order to make sure you're trying to practice slow, deep breaths. Other great ways to help us feel less angry about something is that we could try to talk to someone we trust. We could do a guided meditation. We could do other breathing exercises. We could go for a walk. We could exercise. Or we could try to remove ourselves from the situation that is making us feel angry. Once we are able to recognize where we are on the anger ladder, we will be better able to help ourselves get back to thinking more clearly and feeling more relaxed. What are some things you find helpful to do when you are feeling angry? We might notice we are becoming less angry when our heart rate slows down or when our breathing becomes slower and less shallow. We might also notice that we generally feel more calm and that we are able to think more clearly. Remember when I said earlier that when we are really mad, we lose IQ points? Well, the good news is that when we are no longer high on the anger ladder, we get those IQ points back, which means we are able to think clearly again.